Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast, points after Thursday. I'm bigz. We got Schultzy. We got Grindberg.
Hey, no sound so excited.
What was that game? 509 yards passing for Kirk Cousins and only 180 for Baker Mayfield. 4 touchdowns for Cousins, 3 for Mayfield. Rachaad White back on track, 10 rushes for 72 yards. Bijan, 12 for 61. Bucky Irving had 9 carries for 44 yards. Tyler Algier had 6 carries for 12 yards. Chris Godwin, 5 for 64 to lead the Tampa Bay receiving core in yards. Mike Evans, 62 yards and 2 touchdowns on 7 targets. Cade Otton missed my prop by half a catch, 3 catches for 44 yards. Drake London led all receivers with 154 yards and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney, I seem to recall somebody, one of the three of us, telling everybody to pick up Darnell Mooney.
It was Mike.
16 targets to lead all receivers, 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. I told you all. Darnell Mooney's coming. I said it many times on this show. Kyle Pitts resurrected, 7 catches for 88 yards on 8 targets. Kadarrell Hodge with the game winner, 2 catches, 67 yards. One was a 45-yard scamper for the touchdown to win it. And what a game! That was a pretty exciting game for Thursday Night Football, you guys.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I bet you the chat's blowing up right now, not only on our live stream, but on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network website. So catch us here, catch us there. But what a game tonight, guys. Overtime, you can't expect anything better for a Thursday night divisional game. And like bigz got into, we had some pretty stellar performances. Darnell Mooney, huge game. Kyle Pitts back on track. And Mike Evans on the other side of the ball, 2 touchdowns, golden hands in the red zone, that man is. And what a game. I think a lot of fantasy squads are on track. If you're faced Darnell Mooney or if you got him in your lineup, that's a killer start or a killer game to be up against. What a game, guys. Points after Thursday. What a great segue to this. And folks, get your start and sits questions in here as we go. We're going to break down the game a little bit further here. Bigz, what was your biggest takeaway of that game?
I have 2. Number 1, Darnell Mooney is real. And number 2, I also called Bijan Robinson not being a top 5 running back this year. And I think both of those are working out pretty good for me.
Is Kirk Cousins back? Is that safe to say after this huge performance?
I mean, if you consider 509 yards passing in one game and 4 touchdowns back, then yeah, I guess.
It was really impressive. He was thrown with a ton of anticipation. They really noted it on the broadcast on that one. I think it was to Mooney. Oh, it was the one that he dropped. The one Mooney dropped. He threw that ball like early as hell, man. He looked really good tonight. I'm still a little concerned about that Achilles and him planting on it. Like, you can still tell he's favoring it and he's not standing, I guess, upright on it. But it also, like, at the same time, it looks like he's figured out how to make it work. You know, like he's making it work. So who am I to say?
I have a query. I'm looking at the total stats and everything, and I see Atlanta threw the ball 59 times and ran it 18, while Tampa Bay ran the ball 26 times and threw it only 24. How did Atlanta? Maybe it was turnovers. It had to be turnovers. It had to be turnovers. I just answered my own question, you guys.
Cool. Good job.
All right, man. Yeah. Well, there you go. You should have just put it in the chat, and we could have just answered it right then and there. Yeah. So got some comments here. So, do running backs suck again? Tough sledding out there. There's a lot of split backfields now, and there's very few workhorse backs out there. The Saquon Barkleys, the Derrick Henrys are really coming in right now and leading fantasy teams to victories and great records out there. So let's get into a couple questions here. Do we have any to start
on the running back note? It's so weird that we're seeing a running back resurgence in the fact that like teams are playing the pass so much harder that the rushing has been more effective this year, but it's not translated to fantasy because everybody's splitting the touches now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's.
Yeah, they suck.
Hey, they do suck.
Stop running backs.
All right. Is Monty for Reed or McLaurin a fair trade? I love Jaden Reed. If that's who you're talking about here, I think Jaden Reed is a very good pickup in this situation. Even McLaurin at this stage, I think the start that Jaden Daniels has had, and he's now connecting with Terry McLaurin. I see Terry McLaurin's finishing this year really, really strong. So I'm okay with both those guys for Monty. What about you guys?
Yeah, as we just talked about, looks like you're going to be able to get 10, 11 points from just about every running back who's out there. So yeah, that's I would do that for Reed especially, and then McLaurin.
I think it's pretty solid on both sides. Context always matters, but in a vacuum, I think it's pretty solid either way. I mean, pick your guy.
Well, Zach, let me tell you, obviously, Baker is the more sustainable one. He had 24 throws and 180 yards. That's a little bit more realistic than 60 throws and 500 yards. But Kirk's not going away, fellas.
Right. Like,
no.
He's not going to do this every time, but a huge step in his development for the rest of the season. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this was the start that Kirk Cousins and that Falcons team needs to really get that momentum going. We said it earlier in the preseason. We thought that him coming in, he would have a slower start to this season with that ACL injury, coming into a new offense, and it happened. And now I think that momentum is coming, but you can't knock Baker Mayfield. I mean, the guy has thrown, close to 15 touchdowns in 4 games. Pretty impressive. 5 games now, so he's pushing 20, I bet, and that's those are pretty good stats from a guy that is stream worthy and wasn't proclaimed to be a top 12 quarterback, which he's fitting right in there nicely at this stage.
Their old line's been garbage too. He's constantly under pressure and he's making stuff happen.
Yeah, he's making good throws. He's making good decisions. He's protecting the ball pretty good. And, this was a hard loss for them in overtime, but it was on the road. This team is resilient, and I think Baker Mayfield's got the tools to keep them in games. And I like the sustainability there for Baker Mayfield. Younger and has the upside in the pocket. He's more than just a one-dimensional quarterback. He has some upside there too. So Kirk Cousins.
You like that?
Yeah, buddy.
I was gonna say real quick, I've been gone a couple weeks, and since I'm back, I'm very happy to be able to say, Albert, hello.
Welcome back, Albert. Okay, so I need a tight end options. Okay, I need a tight end. Have options as far as trades. Would you prefer rest of season current tight end 4 Cole Kmet or current tight end 8 Dalton Kincaid? Who wants to go for that one first?
I'm pretty easily on Kincaid. I'm not a Kmet guy at all. Give me the guy who's going to get more targets on the better offense.
I am a Kmet guy. Give me the guy who's had 2 tight end 7 finishes in a row, who's currently right there.
So you're going Kmet here, Biggs, and Schultzy's going Kincaid. And I guess I'm the tiebreaker here, and this is a really tough one.
You're going Kincaid.
No, I'm actually going Kmet. Actually, at this stage, no. Okay, Kincaid. It is. I like the upside there. I saw a good game last week from Kincaid. I think he's starting to become more of a reliable target, and I think he's just going to emerge there. I'm worried about the offensive line in Chicago. Caleb has not looked great to me. He's getting better,
and still commits tight end 4.
Yeah, and but as he improves, as Caleb Williams improves, I think he's going to rely more on his wide receiver group that he has. Odunze is going to come out of his shell and really emerge, and I think that DJ Moore hasn't lived up to his potential either. So there's a lot more mouths to feed, I feel, in that offense, and Kincaid's got the talent to emerge potentially. So that's the reason. I'm really on the fence though, because I was on the fence. I'm in the middle of you guys, so maybe I'll go here.
That's why I said Kincaid.
There we go.
Bears got a Shane Waldron problem.
And still Cole Kmet's tight end 4.
No, I had nothing. Yeah, I know. I had nothing to do with Cole Kmet, but he was mentioned like DJ Moore being down, Caleb Williams struggling. I don't. That offense is not going to be the fantasy mine we were expecting with Shane Waldron in town.
No, I hear you. Should Marlon drop Downs for Mooney? Ooh. I say yes.
I would.
Yeah.
I like Downs, but yeah.
I do like Downs, yeah, but I mean Mooney's here. He's clearly the number 2 target in that offense, and has a lot of upside.
And they're gonna score more points than the Colts.
I have receipts, baby. You go back, you watch our predictions episode. I said he's going to be a wide receiver 20, a wide receiver 2 this year, top 24.
All right, what else have we got here?
I don't care if I missed 40 or 50 other predictions. I nailed Darnell Mooney.
We'll throw this one up first from Corey. Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah. Well, Corey, if you would have listened to bigz in the preseason, you would have had him in your lineup already, and flourishing tonight would have been a really good head start for you. But now you're on the program, and you're going to listen to us now, and you're going to get some great insight moving forward. So stay tuned for more of that. Okay, so let's get more involved here.
I feel like Corey should do a lot more of listening to me. Just because he keeps questioning me and I keep nailing it.
There you go. Ford and Njoku or Kincaid and McLaurin. Which side? That's a pretty even one for me. Like pretty obvious. Yeah, this is Kincaid and McLaurin.
Yep.
Okay, my RBs are Hull, Kamara, Ford, Dobbins, Hunt, Chubb. My wide receivers are London, Neighbors, Godwin, Pittman, Deontay, and my tight ends are Bowers. Would you do Chubb? And Godwin or Deontay for Lamb?
I'm really distracted by Augusto Kashishun's name. I don't know if I've ever seen an Hispanic Armenian before. That is phenomenal. What's up, Augusto? All right. He has Hall, Kamara, Ford, Dobbins, Hunt, and Chubb. Wide receivers are London, Neighbors, Godwin, Pittman, Deontay, Bowers. Chubb and Godwin or Deontay for Lamb? There's a lot in that question.
I'll say there's a lot to take in here.
I would do so. He's trying to trade Chubb and either Godwin or Deontay to get Lamb back.
Personally, I would trade Pittman and Chubb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they would go on that, but I mean,
right.
I'm not sure Pittman's value to get Lamb in a deal here. I mean, Chubb's coming off a pretty catastrophic injury here, and both those guys, if I were to pick one of them, would you be willing to part with Deontay after the last 2 games or Godwin? Tough one. Yeah. I would probably lean Godwin and try and get rid of Godwin and Chubb, and I would take that in a second for Lamb.
Yeah. I'm really offended that I'm not hearing the hard B on the end of Lamb from you guys. Let's pick it up.
Lamba.
Yeah.
Lamb. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, to get the star power from Lamb, you have to do that, and I just don't trust Chubb. Biggs, look what you've done, man. Good Lord.
I'm sorry, Corey. If it makes you feel better, I have Mooney on the bench in one of my leagues too. I went with Shaheed this week because I want him to score 0 again.
This is a tough one here. Look at this question, guys. Should I trade Kenneth Walker for Neighbors? My running backs are Walker, HN, Stevenson, Spears, and my wide receivers are Chase, AJ Brown, and Deontay Johnson. Well, you're pretty stacked at wide receiver. I mean, you're getting potentially the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football right now in Malik Neighbors, so that's a tough one. But your running backs are pretty slim at this stage. Ramondre Fumbleson over there. We got Tajay Spears, who's having a hard time getting into the lineup. He had a decent game last week. Devon A. Chan in that Miami Dolphins offense looks lost. And after a 3-touchdown performance, it's going to be hard for you to get rid of one of your anchors. But also, he's been banged up. Really tough one here. I love Neighbors, and I think if you can get him, that might be the call here.
I say no. I say we're talking about, we let off the show with like running backs are dead. So when you have one who has the potential to give you 3 touchdowns for an up and coming high powered team like Walker, I mean, he misses time with an injury, comes back, and he's immediately just like God tier. And your wide receiver group is fine. Chase is, I mean, he's a top 5 guy the rest of the way. AJ Brown, when he comes back, he should be up there in the top 10 as well. Deontay Johnson is a top 15 guy. And really you're swapping out somebody who has the potential to get you 15 to 20 points a week from the running back position while you hang on to those other 3 wide receivers. Depending on how your flex situation is, how many you start and sit and everything, basically, I don't see how moving one of those 4 wide receivers, if you have Neighbors, into the flex helps with losing those points from Walker.
Yeah,
that's a tough.
I think I'm holding Walker too, because that running back, if that's your running back trio moving forward, like that scares the hell out of me, man. Like Achane he's not paying you out until Tua's back, and Tua's like back, not even just returned to the field. Like he's got to be fully healthy, fully clicking for Achane to, to be paying off again. We mentioned Stevenson struggles, and yeah, Mike, you said it. Tajay Spears is having trouble finding snaps. I don't think I'd pull that trigger just because I'd be really scared of that running back room after the trade.
Now, if one of those other running backs plus one of those other wide receivers could get you Neighbors, I say do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because Neighbors is the most valuable piece here, but I don't know if it's worth getting rid of an asset like Walker, who really is your anchor there and could be a difference maker in that position. And you got such depth there at wide receiver. So yeah, we broke that down.
If they were willing to take Achane and AJ for Malik.
Yeah, that might be a better situation here. All right. Okay.
For your bigs.
So we got a question from Twitter here, and
thanks.
Would you trade Devontae Adams and Jonathan Brooks for Neighbors?
Yes.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yep, especially in redraft. All right.
I will trade Devontae Adams for Treylon Burks.
Trayvon.
All right. Should I trade Chase for DK plus Puka/Rice? I'm 4-0, likely fall into 4-1. Currently starting Chase and St. Brown with Pickens, Odunze, Lazard at depth. I trade for DK and Rice.
I'm assuming this is Dynasty, and I don't know if you're getting back DK and Puka, I would do that.
I was gonna say I would probably do DK and Puka. I would not touch Rice just because of the injury now, but DK and Puka I probably would.
And there's also the suspension.
Right.
So if he winds up missing the rest of this year with the injury, then he's going to be missing. He's going to be serving a suspension next year. And also, his mom is a terrible thief. The Kansas City Thieves.
Ooh, good one.
I borrowed it. It wasn't mine.
I don't even care. You hear that, Mike?
It's a redraft question anyhow. I would say no. I mean, the uncertainty with Puka and Rice, we don't know if either of those guys will be back. I mean, Puka sounds like he'll return this year, but like we still don't even know. That's a DK for Chase, essentially straight up.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. In redraft, I wouldn't do it. In dynasty, I would. Yeah.
I think that's a better dynasty call at this stage for sure. All right, what else you got for us, Schultzy?
Let's see here. There you go.
Tease is inch. All right. So, also, would you trade Connor for Drake London? Straight up. Well, depends on my running back situation. I mean, that's a very tricky spot. Like we said at the top of the hour here, like it's not easy navigating through the running back room. And when you can get a guy like, James Conner, yeah, he might end up getting banged up, but we can't bank on that. And he's a valuable player. But then you look at what happened tonight with Drake London, 12 for over 150 yards and a touchdown. So there is that upside there. I mean, if you're in need of a running back, then or wide receiver, this could be a good trade for you.
I don't know. Maybe run that through the Player Profiler Trade Finder.
There you go.
I'm pretty sure it's going to tell you James Conner is we're just waiting on James Conner to hurt himself and it becomes Trey Benson's job.
Yeah.
I really like what we saw from London tonight. I feel like this is a good move forward. I don't know. I do not own any James Conner this year because he burned me so much last year, and so I haven't been following him as well. I'm just waiting to hear about an injury report so I can slide Trey Benson into my lineup. But I feel like Drake London is the more valuable piece in this situation, and I like his upside moving forward better than Connor.
Assuming he didn't like puncture a lung or something crazy.
Sure. Yeah. That's I hope he didn't break his ribs.
It's not a question. Oh, okay, go ahead. We'll start Sermon Hunt or Chase Brown.
Ooh.
Oh God.
This is ugly.
Tyrone Tracy, Jeremy McNichols. Adam, listen to me. If Jeremy McNichols or Tyrone Tracy are on your waiver wire, drop Sermon and pick one of them up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think both those guys are lined for a decent workload this week, depending on the injury status of Singletary and Brian Robinson. But both those guys haven't practiced to start the week, so both those guys are in line for some action here. And after what McNichols did last week, 2 touchdowns, and Tyrone Tracy has that opportunity in that passing game. He's a pass-catching back with a lot of potential there, so I like that situation better with the opportunity.
If I want to get serious for a second, and gun to my head, I have to pick one of those 3. I'm going with Chase Brown.
Yeah. Make sure everybody likes and subs. Go to fantasysportsadvice.com, sign up. Best place for fantasy sports community. And you know what else? There's a little video.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
Boom.
That's a good idea. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Check out our polls, that's for sure.
And that velvety voice.
For Zank, I said Zank Flowers. Zank Flowers. Give me Zay Flowers, man.
Oof. I'm a little more. Yeah. I think Zay Flowers against Cincy. I know Cincy isn't known to give up a whole lot of points.
Great question, Mike.
Oh yes, absolutely. Fair enough. Yes. Dell for Zay.
I'm taking Zay.
Yeah, I'd have to take Zay.
I mean, preseason, I would have probably said Dell, but I was expecting Dell to be used more in bigz, and so far I'm clearly wrong. So, I mean, they clearly make an effort to give Zay Flowers the ball. Yeah, I like Zay better.
Yeah, me too. Biggs, you got anything to add to that?
No, I'm still working on Kareem Hunt and Chase Brown.
He's trying to.
Yeah, Chase has the ceiling projection. You know, I don't know. I think I go Flowers in that situation just because he is ostensibly the wide receiver one. Tank Dell is part of a committee.
All right, here's a. Would you make any changes to this starting lineup? I'm starting Lamar, Deontay, Ayuk, Bijan only got 7.7 points. Kyron, Kincaid, Hunt, Aubrey, and the Vikings D. Sitting Jennings, Pittman if Richardson plays, Waddle, tons of buys and injuries. I mean,
I'm really hating Kyron this week.
I mean, if Flacco's plays, I think Pittman's an automatic 100% start. I still think he's a very strong start with Richardson playing against the Jags. I think that game has got the opportunity to be a complete shootout. We talked about that already, and like Biggs mentioned, I'm not really a fan of Hunt in that situation. I would try and get Pittman in there. I'm higher on Kyron than Hunt, obviously, so try and get Hunt out of there if you can. And I'd be playing Pittman over Hunt.
I'm higher on Hunt than Kyron.
Yeah, I'd play Pittman over Hunt for sure.
My machine seems to think that Kyron is going to have an okay week, but I'm looking at this matchup, and Green Bay is pretty good against the run, and it's going to be a shootout. Stafford's going to have to be throwing the ball a lot. Oh,
I think this is pretty easily Kincaid and McLaurin.
Yeah.
Jerome Ford just doesn't do anything for me.
No, and Chubb is coming back in whatever capacity he's
right,
but he's still going to take work away from Ford. And while I like Brian Thomas Jr., he's clearly the best wide receiver on the Jaguars. I really love the relationship between McLaurin and Jaden Daniels. And then these guys really like Kincaid. So
he's like, these jabronis. All right, that's all our questions right now. So until something else comes in,
well, that was
filibustering.
Well, I mean, it was a later start to the show with an overtime game, which is always exciting. People are on the edge of their seats with those types of games, and maybe the adrenaline and the booze wearing off here is calmed the questions down, and people are ready to get into the weekend, which there's some action happening early Sunday morning. We got a game in London, and got a couple quarterbacks that are traveling a far way and going to need some rest with their injuries. So hopefully that 8 o'clock morning game produces some points, because we know both those defenses are stout. Before we let our viewers go, if there's no more questions, what are your thoughts on that game, boys? What do you think is going to happen in that early morning game? Is it going to be a high scoring affair, or is it going to be like the line suggests in a lower game?
It'll be a low scoring game, but I have something else that I wanted to say. As many of you have noted that use the internet, it has been announced that Disney has acquired the rights to the Star Wars franchise. And in the summer of 2015, we will see the release of the Star Wars Episode 7. Herewith is my proposal for the plot of that movie. Begin with standard title sequence and John Williams fanfare, followed by a scroll to be written. I would like to mention that Brian De Palma wrote the original scroll for Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. I think it would be a nice nod to the franchise if he were to write this opening scroll. Then pan down from the twin sons of Tatooine. We are close on the mouth of the Sarlacc pit. After a beat, the gloved Mandalorian armor gauntlet of Boba Fett grabs onto the sand outside the Sarlacc pit. And
all right, that's enough, Craig. That was a Parks and Rec filibuster reference.
Yes.
Nailed it.
I knew you would.
I don't know the guy's name right. I just threw a random name. I don't remember the guy's name, but I remember Leslie just being like, "Shut the hell up, Craig," or whatever.
I love Patton Oswalt. Okay. I feel like it's going to be a low-scoring game. The Vegas implied total at this point is
37. That's my guess.
Lower than that.
40
and a half. Yeah.
40 and a half. So, I mean, we have starts and sits here, and my start that I wanted to talk about was Alan Lazard. He is my start of the week. And then, so I like him in the game. It's a London game. Anything can happen. And I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. I feel like the Minnesota Vikings run defense is going to do pretty well against Brees and Brees Lawn. I just made up a thing. They're going to do well against Brees Lawn. And I think Alan Lazard is going to be like a forgotten fellow, just like kind of open a bunch, and Aaron Rodgers likes him. So I feel like he's my start. Also, for you guys who are all of you out there who are going to be watching Breakfast with Bigz at 8 a.m., 11 a.m., that's Pacific and Eastern time. That game will already be over because I'm not getting up at 6 to start my show. So that I get so listen to me now. Start Alan Lazard because that's who I would say. But then also hang out with me. Breakfast with Bigz.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have time for 2 more quick ones here before we hit the hay?
That's what she said.
My sit of the week, if you wanted to know, is Keenan Allen.
I didn't.
I know.
Okay.
All right, we got Stevenson, Wicks, or Dowdle in the flex position. Wicks in the flex. All right, into Superflex League, and buys have me really tight. I need to drop either Drake May or Jacoby Brissett. Which one y'all drop in, knowing if you drop them, they will most likely get grabbed up?
Drop Jacoby Brissett. Hope that nobody picks him up because he's trash. And I mean, I don't think Drake May is going to do anything this year. I feel like the Patriots staff looks at that offensive line and goes, there's no reason to let this investment get broken. So I thought he was going to come out of the gate and start, but they've been so terrible that it doesn't look like he's going to take that job over. I think Patriots land is like, yeah, we're probably going to go 2-15, and we're okay with that as long as Drake May stays healthy. But then you have a super flex issue. So believe me, I have this problem in a couple leagues where I was looking at putting Luke Musgrave in my super flex spot today, and I don't want to do that, so I picked somebody else. But I am never an advocate of putting a non-QB in your super flex spot. But Daniel Jones is my only healthy quarterback, and so I had to take him out of super flex. And then I'm waiting on Drake May, who's not coming. So I have to put a position player there, and I did that last week. I didn't even have a starting quarterback because Daniel Jones froze in my superflex spot, and I still won. So weird things can happen in this game we call fantasy.
Don't worry, Rockstar Rips. There's a lot of us that have buys getting us really tight. So let's move on to the next one here. The last one before we hit the hay, if you will. And this is a good one. Bijan usage got y'all nervous at all? Wondering if I should sell. Oof.
Yes, on the first question. I thought Arthur Smith left town, and apparently he hasn't. Second question, depends on the deal. I'm not selling him if no one wants to pay, but at the same time, I don't blame him for not wanting to pay. So I don't know. That's really deal dependent for me.
So Bijan is at a point right now where his name is still more valuable than his performance.
That's a good one.
If I'm sure, I'm just assuming, I'm sure that you watched our predictions episode and saw me when I said that Bijan wasn't going to be a top 5 running back this year. Or saw me chat about that on Fantasy Sports Advice Network, but he still has that top 5 cachet. So I think you could probably flip him for a running back who rest of the season is going to wind up in the top 5. The aforementioned Kenneth Walker. There are options. You could probably flip Bijan for Kenneth Walker and a piece or something. It's not this usage that has me nervous about Bijan. It was Zach Robinson coming over and taking over the Atlanta Falcons, and everybody flipping out about the fact that Arthur Smith wasn't there anymore. I knew immediately that Bijan wasn't going to get the volume in the passing game that he was going to need to vault himself up into that top 5 category. Now, the other guys that I said were going to finish ahead of him aren't necessarily either, but Bijan's not going to do it. So, I feel like Kirk on track is that worries me more than Bijan's usage.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And yeah, if you can get some name notoriety there and get a monster piece like a Kenneth Walker in addition, I love that move too, because I don't know if it's going to get a whole lot better before too long here. So if you folks want to continue this party, go to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network website, drop your questions there. We're there, all day, all night. There's creators in there, and we can answer your questions in there. And Bigz will be here bright and early on Sunday morning to continue the start and sit train. And
well, not to mention from the forum tomorrow night, where they will be aggregating questions from Twitter and from FSAN and answering them on the show tomorrow night.
Yeah, so we're nonstop here. Start and sits. You'll get your lineup set before you know it. We don't quit. And a lot of places where you can find our content and continue to thrive and build championships.
Yeah. Check me out on Wednesdays at Queen's Ransom with Amber. We got our waiver show drops Tuesdays. We got Points After Thursday right here live now. We got our injury show Saturdays, and we got Breakfast with Bigz Sunday mornings. We're everywhere, man. Let's
go. All right, folks. From all of us on the Fantasy Forecast, Points After Thursday, and the Fantasy Sports Advice Network,
it's time to spin the wheel of Mythica. We hope you win.
We hope you win.